Commander Zethk's 6 eyes studied the holographic display with dismissive amusement. The blue-green planet rotated slowly before him, its surface scarred by primitive cities and crude transportation networks. After 3 cycles of observation, the hegemony's assessment remained unchanged. Earth harbored nothing more than an emerging species barely capable of interplanetary travel. Such a disappointment. Zethkar clicked his mandibles together, the sound echoing through the command bridge of the dreadnought Eternal Dominion. Intelligence suggested these humans might pose some challenge. Instead, we find children playing with chemical rockets. Sub-Commander Urix consulted her tactical display. Our preliminary scans confirm it, Commander. Their most advanced weapons are primitive nuclear devices barely capable of scratching our shield generators. Their military technology appears to have stagnated for decades. The bridge crew shared the characteristic chittering laugh of their species. For the Corvan hegemony, conquest had become routine. Across 17 star systems, no species had lasted more than a solar rotation against their superior technology. Earth would fall within days, its population either enslaved or eliminated depending on their usefulness. Deploy the intimidation protocol, Zethk ordered. Let them witness our arrival. Perhaps these humans will surrender without requiring orbital bombardment. The massive fleet decloaked simultaneously above Earth's major population centers. 50 dreadnoughts, each stretching 3 kilometers in length, cast shadows across entire cities. The psychological impact was immediate panic, spread through human settlements as their primitive communication networks buzzed with terror and confusion. Within hours, Earth's various governments transmitted surrender offers. Zethk barely glanced at the pathetic attempts at negotiation. Humans offered their resources, their labor, even their planet's cultural artifacts in exchange for mercy. Deploy ground forces to major strategic locations, he commanded. Begin harvesting operations immediately. This world will serve as another tribute planet for the hegemony. The first wave of Corvan soldiers descended in assault pods, expecting minimal resistance. Initial reports confirmed their predictions. Human military forces scattered or surrendered upon encountering Corvan battle armor and plasma weapons. Cities fell within hours. The conquest appeared to be proceeding exactly as simulated. But Dr. Sarah Chen wasn't watching the invasion from a surrendering bunker. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, she stood before a massive chamber that had remained hidden from orbital scans. The facility's quantum shielding had been developed decades earlier, disguised as a geological research station. "Are you certain about this?" asked General Morrison, his weathered face grim with the weight of their decision. "Once we activate the neural web, there's no going back." Chen's fingers hovered over the activation console. The Corvans made one critical error in their assessment. They assumed our visible technology represented our actual capabilities. They never considered that a species capable of splitting atoms might choose to hide its true achievements. The neural web had been humanity's most closely guarded secret, a quantum consciousness network connecting every major research facility, military installation, and critical thinker across the planet. For 30 years, Earth's brightest minds had collaborated through instantaneous thought-sharing, accelerating technological development at an unprecedented rate while maintaining the facade of primitive civilization. Activation in 3, 2, 1. Across the globe, 5 billion human minds suddenly connected. The sensation was overwhelming, a collective consciousness awakening as individual thoughts merged into a singular intelligence of incomprehensible complexity. Scientists shared decades of suppressed research instantaneously. Military strategists accessed the combined tactical knowledge of every general in history. Engineers visualized technologies that had only existed in theoretical frameworks moments before. On the surface, Corvan occupation forces noticed the change immediately. Human civilians who had been cowering in terror suddenly moved with purpose and coordination. Construction crews began assembling devices from seemingly random materials. Even children participated, their enhanced cognitive abilities allowing them to contribute to increasingly sophisticated projects. Commander Zeth K. received the first troubling reports 12 hours after initial contact. Sir, human resistance has evolved. They're constructing unknown technologies at an impossible rate. Our forces are reporting weapons that shouldn't exist based on our intelligence. The holographic display showed footage from multiple occupation zones. Humans wielded energy weapons that outperformed Corvan plasma rifles. Their defensive barriers deflected orbital bombardment with ease. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to anticipate Corvan tactical decisions before they were made. Impossible, Zeth K growled. Their technology was primitive yesterday. Commander Yurik Snay's voice carried a note of panic he'd never heard from his sub-commander. We're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's being broadcast simultaneously from every human settlement. The image that appeared on their main display showed a human female standing in what appeared to be a command center. Her eyes held an unsettling depth, as if she was looking directly at each Corvan officer individually. Greetings, Corvan hegemony, Dr. Chen spoke, though her voice carried harmonics that suggested multiple speakers. We are humanity, not as individuals, but as a collective consciousness you helped us achieve. We thank you for the catalyst your invasion provided. Zeth K's mandibles clicked nervously. What trickery is this? No trickery, Commander Zeth K. We know your name because we know everything about your species now. Your communication frequencies, your technological specifications, your military protocols, all extracted from the data streams your ships constantly transmit. Did you think we wouldn't be listening? The tactical display erupted with warnings. Human settlements were launching objects into orbit, not crude rockets, but sophisticated craft that had somehow evaded all detection systems until moments before launch. We spent decades preparing for contact with galactic civilization, Chen continued. We knew that showing our true capabilities would paint us as a threat, so we hid behind a facade of primitive technology while developing defenses you cannot comprehend. The neural web you see activating now is just the beginning. Corvan weapon systems began failing as human cyber warfare protocols infected their networks through pathways that shouldn't have existed. Shields fluctuated and died as unknown energy patterns disrupted their generators. Most terrifying of all, human ships began materializing around the Corvan fleet vessels that seemed to phase in and out of normal space-time. You came here believing Earth was harmless. The collective voice of humanity spoke through every communication channel simultaneously. Now you'll understand why we chose to appear weak. Strength that reveals itself too early invites destruction. Strength that emerges when needed ensures survival. Commander Zeth K watched his mighty fleet become surrounded by human vessels that defied every principle of physics he understood. For the first time in his military career, he faced an enemy that had deliberately allowed him to make the first move and had been prepared for every possibility. As Corvan ships began surrendering or fleeing the system, humanity's true nature finally stood revealed. Not as a primitive species stumbling toward the stars, but as a collective intelligence that had spent generations preparing for this exact moment. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again.